I thought this was interesting. I saw an article today for this new. They pitched it as a new type of piston. It was a new pistonless engine that can rev to 25,000 RPM.
Huh.
And yeah, that's where I was like, explain that.
So
and then,
rotary.
Well, yeah. So then it said,
Basically.
and unlike a rotary, it has no apex seals. And so I was like, oh, now I'm thoroughly confused.
Welcome to Third Pedal Podcast, episode number 12. I forgot which one it was.
12. Yeah.
Episode number 12. I didn't have any other intro outside of that.
I was trying to come up with a joke for it, but I was like, on the 12 days of Christmas, why?
Yeah, no.
So,
12 days of February, is that it?
the 12 days of winter.
12 days of... Yeah, it's a little more than 12 days
frigid.
here. A little more than that.
Okay, so yeah, this week we got a couple things we're going to discuss, but we're going to bring back the Full Send series.
Oh, yeah.
There's some more great videos. And these are
I'll
awesome.
find some for next time.
All right.
Show you.
Yeah. No, that'll be good. We'll have some more stuff to exchange then. But okay, so which ones do I want to start with here? So as always, if this is the first time watching Full Send series, we're going to start a video that's either going to be a fail video or something like incredibly cool with cars. So we're going to pause it in the beginning when not much has been given away, and the person viewing it has to basically guess how they think the thing's going to pan out. So let's start with this guy. This is a pretty simple one.
Okay. That's it?
That's it. That's all you get. So you got the webcam or the security cam video. This car moved a little bit. I don't know if you noticed that before.
Did he? Okay, I think I can't guess what happened. Right, I'm just gonna guess. Well,
you can guess that.
Okay, I think it's a fail. I think he got out of the car while it's not in park,
like in neutral, and it rolls away.
And it's rolling backwards.
Okay.
I can tell by how you laughed at that new idea. That's not.
Yeah, as I laughed, I was like, "Hey, don't do that in the future." But it's better.
Okay.
Ready for this?
Okay. Good. What did he hit?
The garage
door.
I gotta watch that again. He hits it so hard.
Oh no! Wait, I forgot something. Oh, so she was pulling out? Oh no!
Could you imagine like Jess is just backing out the car?
Yeah, I'm like bam.
I didn't know she came and checked on him. Yeah, he's out.
Turns out he's not okay.
Okay, so then this one.
Oh no,
that one's not really.
Wow.
Okay, here we go.
I know.
All right.
You're watching a map.
That's all you get.
You're watching.
There's not really much audio that matters with this thing.
Yeah.
But guy looking at his engine bay. What do you think's gonna happen?
I think it's a win. I think that's a fake cover,
Interesting.
like a fake
Okay.
intake cover,
Yeah, what do
and
you
there's
mean?
going to be like a supercharger or something under there.
Okay. So nailed it.
Give it away again.
Right,
Wait, did I nail it?
Yeah, you totally nailed
Oh,
it.
nice.
Yeah, check this out.
Stir at
But
work.
yeah, he's got the hidden.
Yeah, because I see the V bands.
And then
Oh, and then
then he shows it underneath there. No, that's crazy.
that's nuts because that's already a 6 point. Was it a 6.7 or 6.2?
I think
is that
it's
what
a 6.2.
chargers
Yeah,
have?
I could be wrong.
Yeah, it said SRT.
Yeah, it says it along the top there. But yeah,
That's nuts.
I've never seen
Wow.
somebody do that before. I've never
Like
seen
hide it.
somebody, like
That's
cut the
sleeper
hose
right there.
away that much
Yeah.
that it's there. Okay, cool. So here's another one. This
Okay.
this one's freaking awesome.
Now, Risa, what's the number one thing when you iron head units? Always check it works correctly.
What do you think's gonna happen?
I think it's a fail.
How so?
I think one of the buttons isn't going to do what they think it's supposed to do on the head unit.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This video.
Now, Risa, what's the number one thing when you iron
Tears.
head units?
Just
Always check
crying.
it works correctly.
What's wrong with that?
Seems like something we would do.
What? You just had the reverse camera inside?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you just wired to that thing.
Oh my god! He just ran off the road! He's off the
I
road!
have to beat some stuff. What do you think's gonna happen? Pretty clear it's what's gonna
I
happen.
think there's going to be a big jump coming soon. I think
Have you seen this video?
I maybe, but
Okay.
it just looks like where this is headed. I hope that's what happens.
Yeah, this one's already pre-failed, but I
Okay,
just think
okay.
it's very funny.
We'll just watch it.
Oh my god. What in the how could somebody do this? This just doesn't that makes sense.
I love like stupid political jabs like that. Like it doesn't make any sense, but
Dude, I'm all for that stuff. Like, yeah, it's great.
that's funny.
So anyway,
Wow.
so yeah, that's that. I gotta get some more. I gotta get some more that are. I feel like all of those are pretty predictable. I gotta get some more on
Yeah,
the
I have
fence
to look
ones.
out for those or
Yeah.
send them in.
Yeah, yeah. If
What's
you
our
guys have,
email?
Oh gosh, isn't it thirdpedalpodcast@gmail.com?
Let me just double check I'm logged in.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Or just
great.
tag us on TikTok at Third
Tag
Pedal
us on-
Podcast.
Sorry.
You're good. Tag us on TikTok or any social media. You can tag us, or if you've got a video you want to submit, you can email it to us.
thirdpedalpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
So it's just our username spelled out.
Yeah, it's that everywhere. So just
All
send
lowercase.
us. But yeah, send us some videos.
Yeah.
If you send one, we won't watch it until we all watch it live
Yep,
together.
we'll watch
but,
it all.
but yeah, so hopefully we'll do some more of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But anyway, so
Those are
for this
great.
week, we wanted to get into. You have been describing this a few times to us, and I don't think I totally comprehend it. And I know it's something that I think I've done in like smaller scale, but something you're doing regularly, like for your cars that you've got here. So car hacking.
Yes.
So tell us about it.
I probably talked about it a little bit when I got the Audi.
Yeah. I
With,
think that's
with
when we
you
talked
guys. I don't think we
I think
talked
that was
about
the
it.
first time I ever heard that as a term. Is that like a term that people use?
I think so.
It is. Okay.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, so I've seen it at least with supercar hacks and there's like other stuff like that.
Sure.
That I've seen people. So I would think it's a pretty general term. I think I got it from the term house hacking.
Oh, okay.
So like buying a duplex, renting out one side for whatever the rent is, and then living in the other side and living, living for free essentially off of the rent that the other unit provides.
Gotcha.
So this is kind of my strategy with vehicles too. So I've done it so far with the Audi and with the Volkswagen that we have. So basically the basic principle of it is why I thought it'd be interesting to talk about is because we all like cars,
right?
And they're expensive a lot of times,
right?
The basic principle of it is if you have something that you want to get, so say the car, or a car, for example, instead of using your money or leveraging debt to buy that thing, you're buying an asset that is going to pay for that thing in one way or another. So whether that's like you talked about with the car, right?
Yeah.
Buy a car that's not marketed well, maybe needs some repairs that someone doesn't want to do, someone who just wants to dump it, or you buy it from an insurance auction, whatever, you flip the car, then you take that new number that you have and go buy the nicer
just kind
car.
of flip up to something that you can afford. That one.
And you can do that in multiple ways.
Yeah.
So I've done that a little bit in the past. So we've all done that a little bit in the past. But it's what I've used real estate, and real estate's the day job. That's what I do outside of car stuff. So I use that to leverage into my car. So I don't know how specific we want to get. I can talk basic numbers and stuff like that.
Ballpark it, because I think like from like a typical car person, it maybe feels like it's like way too complicated. It's easier for me to just like either sell parts or kind of flip little things up to get that. So like I know, and you've done that. Like you rebuilt that Nissan from an auction car, repaired the whole front end, and then sold it for pretty good profit and got something else. And it's like we've all done that. But I guess what does that leap look like? Or in round numbers, maybe what does it look like to get into something like this?
So I think.
And that's an incredibly complex question too. Yeah. So feel free to dumb it down.
My general recommendation is to invest in real estate. I think it's the best asset class to invest in. So that's where a lot of this comes from, is because that's what I believe in. Sure. But so you kind of have to already want to do that, I would say, because it's a lot to get. I mean, you have to get pre-approved for loans or talk to people who have money, or if you have. Best case scenario, you have the chunk of money set aside to go buy a car, and you can buy an asset in real estate, or at least use that cash for an asset in real estate, even as a down payment. To buy something that's going to spit off enough cash flow to pay for the payment on the car. Then you get a free car or you get a car and a rental property for the same price as you would have just spent on the car anyways.
So it's kind of getting to that point of you were at the point where you were going to purchase, you were going to get the Audi anyway when you were going to get it. But then you looked at it and said, well, hey, I could do this and get something else and this for about the same price. And kind of got to that point. So it's not necessarily like, well, I went from like $2,000 and $3,000 cars to just like oh, hey, I think I might do this thing now, and then end up with it. It's a working process to get up to that point. Is what you're saying.
Yep. So that's a basic principle of it. So I did it with the duplex, upper lower duplex in Green Bay. The first investment property actually we bought, and this was a year-ish after ownership. So once we got it, fixed, stabilized, rented. So it's not something that you can kind of do immediately, unless the opportunity presents itself. You find I think, like I said, the easiest way would be have the money, invest that into a real estate asset that you can rent out for a profit, and then use that profit as here's my payment. I'll get debt on the car and have both of them. That would be best case scenario. Not my scenario. I didn't have money to put into a car really, or a real estate investment.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was a year between those too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's just
which is cool. I mean, that's like a patience thing of like,
I think it was almost exactly a year, because I think it was June to June that I bought the duplex and then bought the car a year later, not June.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So for me, I was able to find a really rundown duplex through the company I work with. Really rundown duplex. Bought it at a way discounted price because of that. Had every nightmare you can imagine as far as buying a rental property. Like, probably not if you weren't in this to do it. Like, this was your business that you were doing. I probably wouldn't recommend getting into it this way. But
because you entered like worst case scenario with a lot of this stuff with the property, right?
Yeah. I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but we ran into a lot of negative situations.
It's just, it happens sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So they make a whole TV show about it. It wasn't good. But
do they really?
Hoarders?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
I don't want to, obviously I'm not naming names or anything, but that's the situation we ran into.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So anyways, we bought the place. The way that we bought it, because we bought it so discounted, we were able to improve the property and re-rent it, and then get a loan on it.
Gotcha.
For 100% of the purchase price. So essentially and still have quite a bit of equity in it, because of it's just, can get very complicated very quickly. We were able to get a
10,000 foot view.
a loan to value loan that was safe enough for the bank to give us 100% of the purchase price.
Gotcha.
While still having plenty equity in it.
Gotcha. Because you got your purchase price out of it. And then the rest of it was just equity to what it was appraised at after all the work that you've done. So you got that much equity in the home. You got your money back out of it, and then now you were freed up to make a move on a car or do something like that.
So I'll round the numbers. The mortgage payment on it is roughly $500 a month. The net cash flow after all expenses is roughly $1,000 a month.
Gotcha.
So that allowed us to go, okay, we want this. The Audi S3, something I really wanted. Yep. Sorry, I keep bumping your foot.
No, you're good.
We're not playing. I know the camera doesn't go there.
Valentine's Day episode anymore.
That's weeks ago. So where was I with that before I played footsie with you?
You said you guys, so you had determined that you had about $1,000 after the expenses. You had $1,000 cash flow, and you'd wanted the Audi for a while.
That's I wanted the Audi for a while. I knew the payment for a car of that value is going to be roughly $500.
Sure.
Just for round numbers. So that's what I did. So I went and bought the Audi, $500 payment. And so half of that rent payment goes towards the car. It pays for the car.
That's awesome.
So essentially, since I was able to get the property for free too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there was money that was spent and then refinance and all that. At the end of the day, duplex was free and car was free, right? For the purchase and for all the monthly payments I still paid for. So we did the same thing because that's the atypical situation. I would say you're not always going to find one that you get $1,000 a month on. Like we got a really, really good deal.
Yeah, that's not the one that somebody's gonna be like, sick. That can happen for me now. Like that was pretty unique, but it got you. It kind of got your
it's
gears
definitely
turning.
possible, but I wouldn't bank on that being. It's going to set an unrealistic expectation. If you set that as your first one, like this is what's got to happen. Normally it's going to be a little bit tougher on that. Maybe not as great cash flow first. Sure. And like I said, if it's planning to be a business and that's something you want to do, can get into it and really grow. But so now it's allowed us to buy not just the Audi, but also the Tiguan that we bought last year too. So that one property covers.
Oh, it's the car one payments for both of them.
Yeah,
that's really
on
cool.
Both of them.
I didn't realize.
So we just designated. Hey, this is the property. This is our car property. That's awesome. Basically. So, and that covers both of them. So
that's really cool.
Property and that. So I think that's a really good way, just a general, even if it's not real estate or it's not like I want to buy a really expensive car, like just a good philosophy or like way to think about like, not like I can't afford something, but how can I afford it?
Sure.
I'm going to buy something else that's going to, whether it's, I'm going to buy this less than ideal car that I don't really want, but I can get it at a smoking deal. I know how to do the work to fix it up. And I can flip it and sell it or whatever it is that if you know cameras better than anybody else. And you can buy cheap cameras from thrift stores and fix them up and sell them for a profit.
Right.
Or I know like Amazon FBA is like really big right now.
Yes.
Or if we want to get even further out into the internet, NFTs, stuff like whatever it is, like instead of going
like whatever niche it is, just look at it that way. Of it's not about like I have to work X hours to get to X thing. It's hey, you can add a lot of value and you can flip things based on whatever your expertise on is. Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's a good mentality. Like I've had it a lot with now with property stuff. Would love to get into property stuff. I'm not there yet. We'll be picking your brain.
We'll get there.
You're like, I'll get you there.
Yeah.
But the like just on cars in general, it's just every car was purchased because it was the right one for the right time. Like the lesson I think we talked about it before, but like Dad's thing of like, there's always another car.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to rush. It's not, this is the one time thing. So just trying to find the one that fits all, like never overpaying for something when you were looking for it, being patient, finding the right one, getting it for a good price so that you can sell it for more later, and just kind of always gradually moving up. Like just like through doing that, like it got, not in the same scenario, but it got us from, the cars that we used to have and now to where like now we can afford to, we were able to afford to put the right down payment on like her Forester to be able to afford something like that to have it. But it's all like baby steps, but it's that long game. It's like people have to be patient for that. Like this is in no way being like, hey, you'll go buy your rental property today and by the end of the week you're going to be driving your dream car. Like you're gonna have your Ferrari. It's like you'll get there eventually if you're patient, work towards it. But
like I'd love to be able to sell this as a course where I've got like a Ferrari and a house, right? I'm like, buy my course, I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody has something like that already.
Yeah, the Lamborghini guy in his garage, remember him?
Oh yeah.
I wonder what's going on with him these days.
I don't know. Find out for us, let us know. But yeah, I just think it's a good strategy. You can use, like you said, you can use it in so many different ways. So that's why I want to talk about that.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think a lot of people have, every car guy's got a dream car, right? Or multiple. And it's like, if you're not in either a certain industry or whatever, there's a lot of factors to this. You might think like, oh, this is like impossible to ever get.
Yeah, it feels like unattainable. Right. You see some of these high dollar things, but to realize, I mean, I've even heard it on other podcasts. Like recently, Brendan Schaub was talking about like his Ferrari, like the new one that he just purchased, and he got into it a little bit of like how that all works and what the value is on those cars and how like a lot of these guys, like it was really interesting. I'd recommend listening to that.
Yeah,
like
a lot of those guys too, right? If you have if the barrier is not buying the car, right? Like that's what this was all about. Is like, well, and not even necessarily, but like, what's a smarter way to do it where I'm not actually having to put out of pocket for this? Like, how can I get something else to do it for it? Right. But like a lot of those guys doing the supercars is like they're paying the money for the car, even if it's a loan and down payment, stuff like that. Right. Just knowing they're buying the right type of asset car that's going to appreciate or at least stay the same.
That's what he was talking about. Is he's like, you can have it and then essentially it's free because you keep it for whatever and then you sell it and get something else. And like you just kind of hop from car to car to car to car. So like the outside, he's like, people think, like people can think like, oh my gosh, like how's this person just, it's like, no, the car's not worth zero after you buy it. Like it's still worth a lot and probably earning money because they're all rare things.
It's not the typical thought of like the general idea of buying a new car from a dealership is like, oh, you lose 30% of its value when you drive it off the lot.
Not with these
it's
at
not
all.
The same with
if
the
anything,
exotic
car. It's crazy. It's very, very weird. But it's a super interesting topic and one that like, I think, whether it's in your situation or just whatever, somebody has, maybe you get your tax return and you have like, whatever, $2-3 grand laying around that like you could turn into 5 easily if you go, hop on Facebook Marketplace, hop on Craigslist and search for like I've done, you've probably done this, like needs work, like search for that, or like mechanic
project
special,
car.
whatever. And it's like, it's not gonna be the most sexy thing. Like it's gonna be whatever. It's like a Ford Explorer and it needs brakes and it has bad fuel line or something. Like that's, man, if it needs brakes and fuel line, that's probably what, $300 in parts, worst case scenario, and a weekend. And you could probably flip the thing
and some YouTube
for 5. Yeah.
I mean, you can fix anything with YouTube now, right?
And like not only a great learning experience, but like it gives you like that's what we did with our Grand Cherokee when we bought it. Like we bought that thing for super cheap because like they had backed it into their garage door and they like chipped the paint on the side or whatever. They just wanted to get rid of it. We got it. It needed like it had a lot of like rust out skid plate and rust out like brakes and all this other stuff. So we replaced those things and we made like double our money off of the thing just by like carefully doing those projects. And then we drove it. We got to enjoy the car. And like that's kind of a cool way you can have. That's why we've had so many random different cars. Right. It's like, hey, this seems interesting. Like I had the TDI Passat for a little while and then I got T-boned and I was like, all right, what's next? Like how can we like, and even in that scenario, it's not, sometimes it makes sense to just sell back to the insurance company when it's total. But sometimes I'll part it out and like I'll make a little extra money off of it then. But yeah, it's just like smart ways to look at like cars are typically like unless you're talking about the Ferraris and stuff, cars are not the greatest investment. Like they're usually
typically liability,
yeah,
right?
typically pretty bad. But like that's a way that at least, you know, you're not earning a ton off of it maybe, but you're softening the blow. Like sometimes like Chloe tells me that if I'm ever like replacing stuff or if I, you know, whatever, upgrade something, I'm able to sell the old part. She always tells me, she's like, literally like put the cash in a jar in the garage and just use that on car parts. Cause like you made it from car parts. So use it back on that. So like she likes to see that, like anytime I figure out a way to like hack that or figure it out, like cool, like you just got that much money towards the next thing you want to do on it. So it kind of
if you can make it pay for itself in some way, that's why like renting out your cars, like Turo for example, is really popular right now. Something I'm looking to get into this year, so hopefully we'll have you know some
let's
talk
fix up some
about
Turo cars.
That'd
be awesome.
So that's another way you can do it. Like some people literally says right on there, like some people do this to do a business, to make money. Some people do this literally just to offset payments on their car. Just see some cars are only available certain times of the year. People are like, hey, I only need my car, whatever, 3 days a week. I rent it out the other days. I'll offset the payments. And now you can maybe afford a higher end car than you otherwise could have because somebody else is making those payments in a way.
So especially like with so many people, like so many businesses are still working like primarily remotely. So maybe you did purchase a car and now it's sitting in your driveway most of the time. You're like, well, I can't really justify that. Like it can be a good way to kind of offset that and justify that a little bit.
Make it pay for itself.
But cool. Thanks for giving that overview. I'm sure we'll pick your brain more on that, or maybe with some guests we'll dive into that a little bit more. But no, that's super interesting topic. So okay, something I wanted to go over. I don't know how in depth we'll get with this.
Say switching gears a little bit.
Switching gears. Switching gears, or should I say fuel types? No, that was horrible. So the conversation we talked a while ago, like our third or fourth episode, like we talked about like the electric car stuff and like the evolution of there and what we thought about it, and like we've talked a little bit about like the Audi e-tron stuff and what Ken Block gets to do with that, and we're gonna have an episode about Ken Block at some point. This is crazy stuff. But I thought this was interesting. I saw an article today for this new, they pitched it as a new type of piston. It was a new pistonless engine that can rev to 25,000 RPM. And that's where I was like, explain that.
So then, rotary.
So then it said, and unlike a rotary, it has no apex seals. And so I was like, well, now I'm thoroughly confused. So click this top link here. We'll share some photos in the actual episode too. So this is a new, I believe it's a prototype at this point. There's no, like, I don't know that there's a working model of it. I think it's kind of like a theory right now.
Oh, it is a rotary engine with no seals.
Right. So the rotor is these two, the blue discs and the red discs there. The blue is the intake half of the engine. The red is the exhaust and the ignition section of the engine. So how it works, the only thing, this confused me too. The reason it doesn't need apex seals, the only thing that's making contact in this entire engine are the gears on the front of it.
What?
So let me show you the video here. They have we don't need that audio. So this is the thing.
It's tiny.
Yeah. It's super small. They have the weights of it, but the like that pod with the two, I don't know how you describe that, 4 rotors maybe, or the 4 discs in it. That is I think they said 150 horsepower, and it weighs, I mean, it was something tiny. It was the very, very light. It is,
and it's a single injector.
Yep. So
I see. So the combustion chamber is just that little opening on one, and then the little thing that goes in it on the other. So that's what creates the compression, and then the
so this is where they're showing it. So like the injection cycle, like the induction cycle rather, it's these concentric discs that rotate around,
and then it compresses, and then it expands.
So that's where it's compressing. That's the intake cycle. It's got that there. So then if we go to the other side, here we go, the red one. I just want to know who's coming up with this stuff. So then that ports over to the other side of the engine. And then that's where ignition takes place, propels the thing around. There. And then because this is all sealed, it's forcing the gases out.
Yep.
I think that's where it happens. Or maybe it's right behind it. I can't remember. Oh, it's the second time around it does that. Yeah, I don't know. Super crazy. So this is the theory of this engine. Okay.
Well, so it could run like really high RPMs because it's not something that has to move back. You wouldn't be bending rods.
Right.
You would just be spinning it. What you probably have is like runaway on something like that, right? Where it just keeps going faster and faster and faster.
Right. Well, so as they're talking about it more and more too. So it's here we go. There's a supercharged air intake running at high pressure to charge everything into this engine. High pressure talking, not 15 PSI like a regular one, 200 to 300 PSI supercharger. Yeah. Pressurizing this thing.
What?
So in addition, it's like crazy fuel efficient. So it has a skip fire function. So when it's at cruising speed, because this thing, I would imagine cruising speed on this, like a low RPM is what? If it's a 25,000 RPM engine, is like 12,000 RPM.
Right.
It's like low.
That's insane.
So it'll do a skip feature where every 5, 10, or 50 rotations, that's when it'll fire, but the others are just idling. So it's that efficient and moving that fast that it can skip that many to idle itself down.
I guess if it's got the cruising momentum.
This is how crazy. 35-pound engine, 160 horsepower. And it is modular like a rotary engine. So you can just slap on more. So
you can just stack them.
So there's a dual one that's 70 pounds, it's 320, 340 pounds of torque, and a 70-pound engine.
And how big are they? And my question is, how many can we got a 10 stack, 6,000 horsepower.
You're like, you know how like Teslas have a motor on each wheel?
Yeah. You just keep stacking. It's like the transmission tunnel, but it's all of them.
Just running down the center of the thing.
Perfect weight distribution.
There we go. There we go. You can just have a transaxle slapped on the front and on the back and just going out to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this thing was crazy. So I never thought of anything like this before. It looks
like 6 bolts to remove, like to take it apart.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
just
the only
like a sandwich. It just kind of comes, and look, you got your ARP head studs right here.
Yep. And yeah, that's the only lubricated piece of the engine is that the synchronizing gears all on the front side of it.
So what about the cylinder? How are those? They're in contact with each other. It seems like
they're not. There's a crazy tolerance. They're super close, but they're not in contact with each other
enough to have compression.
Right.
It looks like because that's the only, at least from what I saw from the video, that's the only like
at least that's
sealed chamber.
Yeah. From when I watched the video, that's what it was explaining, and I'm just
you have to have high boost in there too, right? Because it's moving away from the force of the explosion, not towards it to compression and then pushing it away.
It's
like
right
a normal
when,
engine.
Right when it gets there and creates. I'm assuming right there is when it ports. I should talk into the mic. Right when it gets to that point is probably when it runs. All the air that it just intook from the other side over. I don't know how that works though. It's crazy though.
Some kind of port.
Like I don't even know. Like imagine the difference of like engine tuning and everything like that when it gets to this point. If this is a future for it. So anyway, so that was
Stick
one
more boost into it somehow.
Well, how many pounds did you say? Like 300 to 300 psi. Like what are our kids gonna come to us and be like, yeah, I put a new pulley on, so now I'm getting like 415 psi, and we're like, dude, huh? What? Like I freaked out when I saw 30 before.
Gritty gauge or whatever, and it's just like it just keeps spinning up.
They're like watching it. They're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I can't imagine what this sounds like. They don't have a real working model.
Oh, okay. I started looking for that too because I wanted to hear that because I have no clue.
That's insane.
Because essentially you're talking about a single cylinder engine. Right. Like that's kind of all it is.
Yeah.
So I thought there was guesstimates on efficiency, but I guess not.
They must counterweight those spinning discs because one of them has a hole in it and one of them has a nub on it.
Yeah. It's got to be balanced.
Just get counterweighted or something.
Otherwise the thing would freak out.
25,000 RPMs counterbalanced. One of those. It's not going to be like throwing a cylinder through your hood anymore. It's going to be throwing a counterbalancer to like Mars.
Well, could you imagine? Well, it would break out and just roll.
That'd be like
be gone.
Have you seen that? Sorry, that probably did not sound good. I just like scraped that for some reason. It was in a oh man, I'll find it.
Okay.
There was something like that where they spun something up super fast and let it go, and it just sparked in the ground and then just
with the air compressor. They did it. And
I forget what it was.
So click on this next one in the notes thing that I sent you. It's a Toyota link.
The Mira?
No. Do you know what this thing is?
Wasn't the Mira like a? Wait a minute.
So this is a hydrogen electric car.
What?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a technology. I started looking into the technology and I'm like, wow, I wonder when they're gonna like implement this. And then Toyota was
hydrogen.
Like, hey, we sell it now. So
they sell it right now?
Yep. Yeah. This thing exists right now. So I gotta
76 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
Estimate?
Okay. So how this thing works, it's crazy. So this is a diagram of the power core of this vehicle. So you pump in, I'm going to butcher all of this because I'm not a science person. I do not know the words for all of this stuff. I'm guessing on most of it. But from what I found, let me pull up this. How do hydrogen cars work? Essentially, you're filling the tanks in this car with hydrogen. Okay.
That's compressed, right?
I believe so. I think. Yeah, let me find it in here.
Is this not like
don't want to sound stupid?
Like compressed natural gas? Is this something similar, you think?
Kind of. So let me read this. Let me read this line to you because I looked this up a little bit because I was very confused on how this would all work. So because as I was reading on that, they were saying in the Toyota page, basically there's hydrogen in the vehicle. It pumps hydrogen up. It takes the intake air from the road. And there's a chemical reaction that happens between the hydrogen and the oxygen intaking from there that converts to electricity that runs the vehicle.
What?
And then the output of that whole thing is water. It spits water out.
Did I like go into a coma for a few years? This seems
That's
like
what I
way
thought.
further technology
why
than we
don't I
have.
know this?
What
wait.
happened?
Because I saw an article about it and then I started reading into it. Because then I was just Googling how it works. And then Toyota was just like, hey, we sell it.
Yeah,
It's like,
hey,
well, wait.
over here.
And it's not like a concept car. Like there's like
No,
pictures
this
and
is
stuff
like
of it.
you can build one.
So yeah, let me read this to you.
I don't care about your touch screen.
I know.
Tell me about the
The
hydrogen.
whole page was that. They're like, we have a heads up display. I'm like, don't care. Can you tell me about the bombs under the back seat? So the fuel cell is a device that takes chemical energy in the form of hydrogen, turns it into electricity that can power the motor. Hydrogen powered car with an electric motor. How does it work? The hydrogen is stored in a tank that's thick walled and crash tested, usually under the rear seat, because otherwise it's a bomb.
No, literally, if you see I'm sure you saw the little diagram of it.
Yeah.
Like you're literally sitting on it.
Yeah, and it literally looks like the things that in Monsters Inc. they
It does look
capture
like
screams.
those the scream gas
thing, yeah.
things.
But
Yeah.
okay,
we know
so
your secret, Toyota.
So-
I saw that movie.
the hydrogen that's under the rear seat, it's mixed with air, pumped into the fuel cell. It's mixed with air and pumped into the fuel cell. Okay, so it is pressurized. I think that's what that means.
Yep.
Inside the cell, chemical reaction extracts electrons from the hydrogen. The leftover hydrogen protons move across the cell and combine with oxygen and from the air and produce water. Meanwhile, the electrons create electricity, which charges a small storage battery used to power the electric drivetrain. So that's what I was trying to find. This type of vehicle is called a fuel cell electric vehicle, FCEV, as compared to the battery electric vehicles, BEVs. That exists right now.
Weight, I'm guessing, is a huge advantage on these because you don't
Right.
need all that battery storage.
Right. And especially that would be, I guess it must be compressed. Then it must be compressed hydrogen
I would
that you're
guess
putting
so,
in.
yeah.
So you're
'Cause it said,
talking
how do
about
I fill
like,
it?
giant propane tanks essentially filled with compressed gas versus a, that doesn't look, it does kind of look compressed. I don't know
Yeah.
why I'm such an idiot with this right now.
Well, it is different
Looks a lot like a gas station.
because it looks like it
Hydrogen.
locks. It probably like self locks on.
That clamps onto the car. Once a seal has been made, the hydrogen gas starts filling the tank of the
Yeah.
car. It's gas. But yeah, I thought this was nuts. Like I thought it was
Wow.
crazy that this is a thing, and then also Toyota's like, hey, like you want to build yours now? But yeah, I had no clue. I had no clue this existed. Because I remember joking about this. I'm like, why couldn't we figure out cars that run on air and then they spit out water? Like I remember
This is
saying
a car
that,
that
when we were
runs
younger.
in air and spits out water.
It literally is. It creates water.
Out of stock.
Really? Is that what it says?
Actually, fuel cell.
I want to know if there's any. It says that you can search like gas stations, or I guess hydrogen stations. Whoa, there's a lot. Why have I not seen a hydrogen station? Oh, because they're out in California.
There's one in Green Bay.
No, there's not.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, no way.
I think so. Are we gonna go visit one?
Oh, I'm on the same. No, I'm in a different one than you. Dude, look at
Oh
them.
no, you're right.
They're like all in Cali.
Okay.
Weird. And up in Washington
Yeah.
or the
And Canada, there's one.
Vancouver area.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I had no clue. Like looking at that car, the car actually, I'll be honest, looks kind of cool.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad.
It looks like a better version of the new BRC.
Yeah, it looks like they used BRZ front end with a like big body sedan. That's
Yep.
what it looks like.
Yep. But yeah, it's just super, super interesting. Cause like, and then that's the, so I guess my next question would be, I don't know what the cost of hydrogen per gallon is. Or how do they measure that? Cause how are they getting the, whatever they said, 70 something miles to the gallon?
Yeah, and it says it's
Yeah, 76, 71.
$15,000. Here comes with $15,000 or 6 years, whichever comes first, of complimentary fuel.
Wow. Cause like this seems like I really like where all this stuff's going. Cause the electric
Yeah.
car thing is very cool, but we're still running into like a power storage issue.
Right.
So like you can't do anything about that. So I wonder how clean it would be. Really interesting to see if you could capture the water that's being spit out from this and purify it and be able to use it for drinking water or something like that. Like that would be a really cool like collection system. So you
Yeah.
literally drive a car that produces clean drinking water. Like I wonder if that's something you'd be able to do, or if it like sheds water is just like it drips like a condenser on a humid day or something. Like I don't know if that's what it means. Or
I
if it
just
means it's
saw.
actually spitting water out.
Right. Yeah. Like how is it? Or is it
Yeah.
just vapor?
402 mile range.
That's why I would look. Yeah. That's not
like,
that bad.
That's reasonable.
So it's a small tank, right? If it's getting 76 miles per gallon,
Yeah, I mean,
It
in
is-
theory, we can figure that out real quick.
what, 5 gallons?
Yeah, 402 divided by, what did we say?
76.
76. Yeah, good math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5.3 gallons. That's crazy.
So, I mean, even if it cost...
And it's compressed gas, so it's not going to weigh that much.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to weigh hardly anything. So, I mean, you have the equipment of... And it said somewhere in here that it's all like carbon fiber reinforced and it's all super durable, obviously, because you got to worry about leaking that out. But yeah, like actual... Like this feels like the first... Other than I don't know how they capture...
Surprisingly heavy.
That seems pretty light to me, actually.
4,300 pounds?
Well, yeah, but compare it to like any other electric vehicle on the market today.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because like, I mean, even normal, like a regular, like what does a A6 weigh? Or what does like a Toyota Camry weigh? 2022 Camry weighs... Oh, it is less. Wow, they still only weigh 3,600 pounds? I thought they weighed more than that.
That's about as much as a Tesla Model S weighs. 4,600 pounds compared to 4,300 pounds.
Okay, so it is pretty heavy.
Saving that much weight.
Interesting.
That's interesting, right? Wouldn't you think that? But maybe that converter or whatever, that might be super heavy. The tanks that are reinforced might be super heavy.
That's true. That's true. That is
you're not
surprising.
saving a ton on weight, but
dude, to get that recharge time is instant. You don't have to sit at a supercharger and wait for that.
That
Just
is
pump
the
thing
key
in.
to this type of stuff. Unless they can figure out how to dump that much energy and the time it takes to fill a gas tank in something like an electric car, then this type of technology could be like, it could be paired because you could still have a big battery and a small thing like this that trickle charges it essentially.
Yeah, I mean, then you're in like I know not really, but kind of like Prius territory where it like uses the battery and stuff for certain activity, and then others it's going back to the regular
drivetrain.
You can
go EV only.
Even the what's the 4xe Jeep that we talked about a while ago?
Right. Yep.
Like that
Similar
the
type
hybrid
of,
Jeep, like same kind of a thing. So if you started combining those technologies together, but yeah, I thought this was because right now that's like it seems like that's the bottleneck to like anything electric is just how fast. I mean, even we didn't even talk about SEMA. I was at SEMA last year, but like
so much to cover.
Golly, when we were there, like they were drifting one of the Mach-E Mustangs, and
really?
So they had like the what do they call it? The Burnyard, I think. And the in the Burnyard they had like the Mustangs, and so they'll do tandem drifting in Mustangs. They'll let people come and sit in and go with it. And they had like a Baja truck, but then they had the Mach-E, so they take people in it. And it was the weirdest thing to listen to drift because it just sounded like a spaceship. You just heard tires and then like a weird, literally like a Jetson sound. But they drift that thing around, but they could do, you know, a few laps around, do some drifts, do some like 0 to 60s or whatever, and then go back over and sit on whatever. I don't know what freaking fast charger they have there to get that thing back up, but it'd have to sit there and wait and recharge and stuff. But like, dude, something like this, I would wonder what it had said it had that short-term battery storage. Like, I wonder what kind of like what performance numbers are we getting out of this?
How immediate is the power delivery out of that conversion? Like, is it short storage battery because that takes a long time to trickle and get it there?
Yeah, and does it matter, like, does speed on the highway, is it more efficient at converting versus like with more airflow coming in, or is it like, what does that look like? Like, I would love to see like even Toyota, if they get their TRD team like working on this and like see,
that's what I was thinking.
Like, hey, what could they do in the motor store? Because like that's what like Audi back in, I was looking it up because actually with all of this I was trying to find other alternatives, and I was like, I wonder if anybody, because we've always teased them like, why don't people do more diesel electric stuff, like that kind of a generator situation, and that's what the what did they call it, the R18 Audi that was in like 2016, their Le Mans car was a diesel electric hybrid, and it won for like X number of years till I think Porsche won it back after that, and they're doing some other hybrid thing, but like they started doing that kind of stuff, and then now they're in the e-tron and they're doing whatever they are. But it would be really interesting to see this. I imagine motorsport regulation around like putting like compressed hydrogen in your car is probably different, but
you never know though, right? Because think about like race cars have, well, maybe I don't know this. I thought I knew what I was talking about until I started the sentence. Do race cars have safer or less safe fuel storage? Don't they usually have a smaller like fuel cell, for example?
Yeah.
But is that more reinforced?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, those have to meet, as far as I know anyway, those have to meet like very strict guidelines, and I think they have to be integrated or put at least in a certain place, like to be accessible.
Okay.
All the
I might be thinking of like race cars that I've seen, you know, like people I know and stuff like
guys who were strapping their fuel cell in the trunk.
I'm gonna be thinking like rat rods and stuff like that. That might be what I'm thinking.
That could
be. Yeah, because I was gonna say if it can just be a regular compressed air tank, then not but you know, something that's lighter weight and smaller.
Right.
If it's only for if it's only for racing, right? And you don't need 400 miles of range. If you need, I don't know, 50 miles of range or whatever.
Well, yeah, you only need enough to sustain the engine, to the battery, to like keep it at a certain level.
And if it's a compressed air tank that's small enough,
right?
You know, quickly they change tires rather than sitting and filling one. If you can quick disconnect and quick connect the compressed air tank, you can just have a little setup that does that. There's just
I would imagine, right? It's a cutoff valve and a purge valve, and then you can pull the thing off, put the new one in.
Yep.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see, because we just determined this is only a 5-gallon tank total. That doesn't seem right. That seems like so much more tank than that. Unless those are the converters. Why? What do you mean?
Oh, you know what? That would lead to it being smaller. I was just thinking, if that short-term battery storage, if they're counting like, all right, that's already full.
Yeah.
And we get 100 miles off of that short-term battery, for example.
Sure.
But that would mean there's less fuel storage.
Yeah.
I don't know. The size of that though looks at least 5 gallons.
Because
if not more.
Yeah. Unless we don't know what we're looking at here.
It's possible.
Because a 5-gallon isn't a propane tank. That's different. They're measured differently. I'm thinking of pounds. I'm not thinking of gallons. Yeah. But I mean, 5 gallons doesn't seem.
We might be thinking of it incorrectly altogether because it's compressed.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we definitely are. You're right. Yeah, that seems right.
That's right. 5. Hey, that was really interesting though.
Yeah, I thought that was
no
super
idea
cool.
That existed.
Yeah. So those are two that we
Both
should definitely keep on our radar. But I had no clue one was available to the public, and
I wonder if we can find one at a local Toyota dealership and drive
test drive it. That'd be really cool.
Just to see what the
go
power
talk to them about it. Like, hey, can you tell us about this? Because we had no clue it existed.
If there's like an expert.
Yeah. That would be cool. Yeah. We should check that out.
I wonder if we can find one of their either just somebody at the dealer or one of the engineers or something that would be cool to talk about it. Yeah. That'd be really, first of all, the person who designed that circular rotary, non-rotary motor. Oh my gosh. I would love to talk to that person. Yeah. Somebody involved who knows a little bit more about it. And then that Toyota, I would really love to hear about that too.
So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Exciting future stuff. That stuff makes me pumped because I'm like, oh, there is more coming for the petrol engine. But then even like that hydrogen one, it was one of the points in the article was hydrogen is the single most it's the single natural resource that we have the most access to on Earth. Like we have the most hydrogen of any other element.
Interesting.
So they were like, that's something that we should probably leverage.
So that's more of a renewable resource than gasoline or whatever, for example.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So, I've always like, well, at least maybe not always, but now said like, I don't really care. Like, I don't care what the miles per gallon is necessarily. Like, I don't really care that much about efficiency, good or bad.
Right.
So like if something like that gets 100 miles per gallon, I want it to feel and perform a certain way. Right. So like if it does that, I don't care if it gets 100 miles a gallon, or, I mean, I'll be pretty ecstatic, I guess, if it gets that. I don't say I don't care about it. Right. I'm more talking about like, oh, I don't need to get over 30 or I don't need to get over 20 or whatever. Like if it's, as long as I'm not filling up every day, then I'm probably going to be okay. Right. So that'll be really, really interesting.
Yeah, I'm pumped. It seems like a cool development in the car community. But anyway, that's what we got for this episode. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Thanks for watching.
And we'll catch you next week.